Hi everyone, it's Rachel and Anthony.
Hello.
From Don't Crop Me Now. Here's an update about our polytunnel. This is the first growing season that we've actually had a polytunnel, although we've had an allotment for quite some time. So let's have a quick look inside. This is a polytunnel from First Tunnels and we put this up in November last year. The structure of the tunnel is a brick path down the middle with raised beds on either side. In this first bed, we are growing predominantly sweet corn. We do usually grow sweet corn outside, but the squirrels tend to like to eat the cobs. And also I find that it doesn't grow quite big enough to produce a number of cobs on each plant. It's a bit controversial to grow sweet corn within a polytunnel. Some people say yes and some people say no. We do realise that the sweet corn is wind pollinated, so one thing we will have to do when the tassels appear at the top of the sweet corn is to give them a good shake to make sure the pollen is distributed throughout the plants. But actually, you know what, they're looking really good. They're as big as they normally get outside, even when they've started fruiting, so I'm actually really pleased with these. Just at this end of the bed, we are trying to grow some melons. The idea is that these melons will grow up this cube that is in the centre of the polytunnel. This cube was put in as a hotbed, which we used early in February to March to start seeds off. Because I didn't want to dismantle the full structure and have to put it back in again in the winter, I'm just using this area as a bit of storage, and obviously it's got all the sides and a lid on. So the plan is that these melons will grow up and over the top of this cube, so therefore you won't see it once the plants are a lot bigger. So these are grafted melons, and you know what, they're looking really good. Really pleased with those so far. They're growing well, and I will start training them in across the top of that bread crate that's on top of the cube. There's a few radish just on the top of there. I've decided not to grow any more radish outside on our main plot because we seem to have really bad problems with flea beetle. So I'm hoping that growing up here we should get some cleaner radishes. On the front of the cube, I put 3 late tomato plants in, just because I had extra plants left over, and the idea is that it will train up those canes and cover the front of that cube as well. Up the other side, we are growing some cucumbers. So these are an F1 variety called Carmen cucumbers, and there's quite a few of them in there, and they'll grow up these poles and I'll train them up there. There's a couple of chili plants here that are getting a little bit overgrown by these beans. So this is mainly meant to be the bean bed. And what we've got is that main plant in the middle are kidney beans, which are starting to flower now, which is really promising. So these are a type of beans that are really grown in hotter countries than we have here in the UK. So the idea is just to trial these within the polytunnel. And along the back, which we've got just starting to climb, we have got some yard-long beans, which again require heat. There are actually a couple of lima beans on the back, but I think they're getting a little bit outcrowded by these kidney beans, which on the packet said they were dwarf beans. But looking at these, maybe they're a bit of a half and half in the middle, because they're not really a full climbing bean, but they're certainly not a small dwarf bean, as in what I'm used to dealing with. Which is why I put those canes in, just to keep them upwards. So they are flowering, as you can see there, and hopefully we will get some beans on those. So that's the bean bed, and again it's just a bit of a trial for this year. On this side we've got a potting station, and on here we've just got quite a few little dwarf Greek basil and Thai basil plants. So I'll put those into large pots and use those predominantly to fill up the edges of this brick path. You see, the brick path is quite a proportion of the polytunnel, which feels like a little bit of a waste. However, because we got the wide doors and we wanted to be able to access the polytunnel with a wheelbarrow, it means that the path is as wide as those doors. So I'm hoping if I just put all these basil plants along each side in large pots, it will use some of that space that would otherwise be wasted. On this side of the tunnel, there's a few, they're gherkin plants, so they should climb up that structure there. And then we've mainly got aubergines on this side that are all along the back with where those strings are. These darker purple plants are grafted aubergines, and the other ones are ones that I've grown from seed. Having a look here, we have definitely got something happening there. So there are some aubergines forming, which is really positive, and there's a lot of flowers on them. So I've got high hopes we're going to get something. Actually, even looking there, look, even the ones that I grew from seed, there you go, it's the start of an aubergine. So we're definitely getting some, so that's really good actually, really happy about that. And then we've got, there's some pepper plants. They're like a long pointed pepper. Some more basil, which is just your normal Genovese basil, which I'll use to make pesto. The marigolds are just to look pretty and for pest control. And we had a few extra peppers and tomato plants that will grow up these canes. Those peppers at the back, they look quite big. They're actually chilies. They're called ancho chilies, the ones that you find dried and used in Mexican food. So that's why they look like a pepper, but they are actually a type of chili. And then on this side, we have got this salad tower structure, which I've taken all the leaves out of now. And we've just got some spring onions left in the top. So I've got this as a strawberry planter, really cheap from Aldi. And the way it's designed to be is not to be stuck up in a completely vertical position like that. Which just means, unfortunately, so when you water this, obviously a lot of this water runs off the front. Which is why I put this bit of plastic in, just to try and get at least as much water as we can running into that top section. So I am going to leave this in and use it again for salad, but I need to do something about changing the shape of this. So I'll have a good think about that, whether I'm going to add some sort of wood structure on along this side to bring this up to level to make watering a lot easier in here. So that's the main structure of the polytunnel. Just have a little bit of a scan around. This was actually one of the last things that we planted up, because we've got a lot of space. So that's why some of the things like the tomatoes and the peppers are still quite small, because they've actually gone in quite late. But it all seems to be taking off really well now. Really pleased with this polytunnel. If you've enjoyed our video today, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. It will only take you a moment and it really helps our channel. Bye!